About a week ago, there was a conservative conference, nationally as there often is. And one of the speakers was a former governor of Florida, Jeb Bush. And Jeb Bush decided to address the immigration problem, the immigration issue. And unlike perhaps what Democrats may respond in saying that we need to solve this because it's the right thing to do, or because it's a problem, or if we solve this it may end up creating jobs, his response, and I'm paraphrasing, is we need to address this, and his comment was, because, how shall I say this, immigration population, specifically Hispanics, repopulate much faster. And I used a slightly nicer word by saying repopulate. Not that his word was not, but mine's a little bit nicer. So that was his reason why the immigration issue should be referenced and dealt with and maybe solved. Then, of course, at the same conservative convention, because it is a conservative convention, which sometimes looks like the bar scene in Star Wars, Sarah Palin was there. And she started to talk about alien invasions. So, of course, with her, you didn't know if she was addressing the immigration issue or, again, an episode of Star Wars. That is the state of the Republican Party nationally today, and to a large extent, the state of the Republican Party everywhere. Let's drill down to Florida, and maybe perhaps a little bit more specifically about why we're here. We have an incumbent governor, as we all know. I will mention his name, although I won't say it 3 times, because I don't know what will happen if I do that. Rick Scott.
Boom.
And this is the guy, you remember, who was against it before he was against it. And that specifically relates to the Medicaid issue. You remember he was against Medicaid and campaigned against it, which is interesting based on his hospital background, even more so. And then when the Supreme Court affirmed it as legal, he said, okay, I'm for it. But then it only took a few milliseconds for a reporter to say, now that you're for it, and the legislature, both bodies, are governed by the Republican Party, are you going to go out there and confront Republican legislators, now that you're for it personally, and get the Republican legislature in Florida to adopt this Medicaid, which involves somewhere between $52 and $55 billion? His answer was no. So how could you be for it if you're not going to lobby for it? And his answer was, well, I don't deal with the legislature, which of course is exactly what a governor should be doing. So he was against it before he was for it, before he was against it. But that always pales in comparison to his latest deal, which was just the last few years. A few quick examples. If you all remember that great idea of drug testing state employees, which was clearly unconstitutional. Or his latest veto, which talked about young people who are trying for a path to citizenship, the dreamers, the kids, who he vetoed a bill that came out of the legislature that would have allowed dreamers, the kids, to have driver's licenses and be able to work and have a normal education, a normal job. He vetoed that. Which always pales in comparison to this Jobs governor who talked about that incessantly and yet killed the bullet train, which by the most conservative estimates would produce 23,000 jobs in Florida. 23,000. This is our governor. This is the state of governmental affairs in Florida today. And the reason I mention it is because we all have to talk about it constantly. We have to remind people who this guy is, no matter whether or not he now gives a few more photo ops instead of standing in a corner as he always usually does, because he doesn't like dealing with any individual folks. He likes larger crowds to some extent. But we need to remind people who he really is and what he has done or not done. And some days, I don't know which is worse, when he does something or when he does nothing. And that all ties into the governor's race. And that all ties to not only our job as Democratic Precinct Committee people, but it ties into two specific things we will talk about tonight. Two action pieces that this Democratic Party is going to undertake. The first will be will be voter registration. And getting new people registered, hopefully more Democrats, but getting people registered in Broward County. This will not be a monthly deal. This will be ongoing, indefinitely. Our second Vice Chair, Betty DeMaio, will talk about it for a couple of minutes. And she has already talked to all the area leaders, explaining their responsibility to hold a registration drive in their area at least once a month. What that means, since we have 12 areas, is that on any given weekend, we would hope there's registration drives in 3 different areas of the county on that same weekend. And that goes on continually, indefinitely. Because we know in Broward County, because we are the largest Democratic Party in the state, by registration and production, that if we register more folks and we keep talking about Governor Scott and the issues, and again, as I like to say, we have one luxury the other side doesn't have. We only have to tell the truth. If we do that registration drive constantly, by area, organized, and increase our data bank, that will do more to help us produce a turnout and in turn a margin for whoever our Democratic nominee is. That's why Dr. Snipes is our guest speaker to talk about the change in registration laws. And the other topic, which we're not going to deal with tonight, but I do want to mention it, because it is key to our success long-term in Broward, is a technology update. We're not only going to update and change the website, not only are we going to have active Twitter accounts, not only are we going to drive people to the Broward Democratic Party site, not only are we going to use that site in different ways, including not only for publicity or to rally folks for a last-minute rally, but to raise money as well. And it's going to take time and effort by a lot of folks to raise money that's necessary for this technology project. And in August, because we will not have a July meeting, we will roll out that information. It's going to be a big part of the meeting, and you will get great in-depth information. I venture to say, once the money is raised, that this will be the most active, advanced, cutting-edge technology program of any county Democratic Party, not in Florida, but in the United States. We will be the most significant county party technologically in the United States by the time we're finished with this project. These are two components that are necessary long-term to our success. And although you'll get emails on it, you'll get updates, you'll hear more about it, it was very important for you to understand the purpose of the meeting. And it's not only about beating Rick Scott, which it is, and it's not because he's only a Republican. It's because he's a terrible governor. And he doesn't represent the middle class. He doesn't represent hardly anybody but the top 1 or 2%. And lately, it looks like the top 1%. That's the other 99. So, thank you for listening. We are going to have a program tonight that directly relates to these issues. It is critical to our success. We have to not only look at tomorrow, we have to look at a year from tomorrow. And to do that, these are not luxuries. These are necessities. Thank you very much.